This video is to help with sequences using the before and after patterns used in the house unit that we are studying. The top kanji that you see here is mae of mae ni. Now that word mae is the mae that we know from namae, whereas the second term, kanji here, atode, is the one that we use for after, atode. What's really important to consider is that when you're using the mae ni, or before, you must use the incomplete, or what we call the dictionary form of the verb. These are those plain casual forms like nugu and agaru and hairu. Whereas the atode, the after pattern, must use the complete ta form of the verb, the casual past tense. For example, nuida, agatta, haitta. Those are required of each of those patterns. The thing that many students find confusing is that it's the opposite structure of an English sentence. So if I say, for example, before I step up, I take off shoes. The word before I step up, which is the picture on the right, the word before starts that phrase, whereas in Japanese, as you see above, it's added to the end of that verb. So for example, in this one, we have ippo agaru. I'm just focusing on the verb here. I'm not writing the other part. Because we're going to start with this as the beginning of the sentence, before I step up, I take off my shoes, you have to use the plain form plus mae ni. So that phrase, before I step up, becomes agaru mae ni, agaru mae ni. And then you finish the sentence with what would be the left side of the sentence, or kutsu o nugimasu. So to say, before I step up, I take off my shoes, or before you step up, you take off your shoes. You say, ippo agaru mae ni, kutsu o nugimasu. Now this time let's consider what we'd say if we used ato. So after you take off your shoes, you step up. Now we're starting with the phrase on the left. And if you're looking at the hint on the top, we must use the complete ta form for that verb on that left when we say after you take off your shoes. So nugu in its ta form becomes nuida. Now that's what you add atode to. So unlike English, we say after you take off your shoes, that phrase becomes basically take off after. So it'll sound like this. Kutsu o nuida atode. Kutsu o nuida atode. Then what happens next? Ippo agarimasu. Kutsu o nuida atode. Ippo agarimasu. Now let's take an example with the bathing unit. So consider what we did a moment ago if you're going to use the before pattern. Ask yourself what's happening by the order of English. You're going to be starting with the sequentially second picture because you're saying before you relax, you enter the bath. So you have to start with the phrase on the right. Now think about the form of the verb you need. Because relax is just riraksu suru, you're just going to use the casual plain form, incomplete form, plus the mae ni. So riraksu suru mae ni ofuro ni haeru. Riraksu suru mae ni お風呂に入る. Now what happens when you want to use after? 後で. The sequence this time starts here because you're going to be saying after you enter the bath, after you get into the bath, you relax. So think about the structure. You need the casual past tense or the ta form of entering a bath, which in Japanese comes from お風呂に入る. 入る, as you know, is a group 1 in disguise. So rather than 入る becoming 入った, it's a chisai tsuta because it acts like group 1. 入った後で. So the phrase would be お風呂に入った後でリラックスをします。お風呂に入った後でリラックスをします。And that's how it works.